What's going on, everyone? It's Mike, it's John, and this is the Debrief. What is going on, everyone? It's Mike, it's John, back again, and this is your Everton v Spurs debrief. I think to start off, I'm actually going to start with Tottenham fans, if that's all right, John, because they have lost it at this particular result. I've not seen a reaction this bad to a performance by a football team for a long time, especially that first half performance, and that only speaks positively of Everton. Now, I watched on TV. You were actually there. What was it like?
From the first whistle, you got a sense that Everton were up for the fight and were up for the game, and I think we've got a bit of confidence, even though we got beat 1-0 by Aston Villa. Was it 1-0? Yeah. I think they gathered some confidence from that, and I think David Moyes is trying to instill a bit of confidence into this team, because probably since he's been at the club, probably realised how low morale was and stuff like that, and people's confidence was on the floor. And it looks like, he's probably had 4 or 5 training sessions with them, and you could see it from the off yesterday. The players seemed to be up for it. The team selection I was happy with, obviously apart from Decore, but I thought he done okay yesterday. Listen, I think he still should be taking out the team, Decore. But from the off, you could see that there was players who have been slagged off massively by me on this channel, i.e. Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I've always give praise where praise is due, even though it could be from players who have been poor. Thought he was immense yesterday. You could see they were up for the fight. Jesper Lindstrom, it was probably his best game in an Everton shirt. And Dye basically practically run the midfield for me. So you could see it from the off that these players who haven't been playing with confidence and missing chances, and don't get me wrong, Calvert-Lewin could have had a couple more yesterday, but he played like a proper number 9 yesterday. And as I say, from the off, you could see that Everton had a game plan and they were up for it. And I think it's been, well, not that I think, I know. I haven't seen Everton come out of traps like that in a Premier League game for a long time, which is what we've spoke about on here. What's getting said to them in the dressing room? They're coming out and they're lethargic. Yesterday, they were right up for it, and that impressed me more than anything yesterday, that they showed fight, they showed spirit, togetherness. They had a game plan. He changed the team a bit. He changed the formation a bit. And it's probably the best I've felt coming out of Goodison Park yesterday. Don't get me wrong, the last 15 minutes were a bit nervy. But with the performance more than anything, and the goals we scored and the chances we did create, it was very promising yesterday. And I felt good coming out of Goodison for the first time yesterday in a long time. Put your mic up.
Turn it on. Do you know what the big difference was for me? We started with intensity, which meant the crowd were there. You could hear it through the TV. You could hear the fans getting behind every move. Every time Njai got on the ball, there was people cheering. There was songs being sang. There was clapping. And we looked such a different team. And to be honest, Lindstrom, for me, set the tone for it, because he wins the ball back on the right-hand side early on in the first half. He has a little 1-2, pops it round the corner and gets a shot off from 20 yards just outside the box, gets Everton a corner. It's in the first 10 minutes of the game. People are there going, cheering us on, going, we're not used to seeing shots, and yet we're seeing a player have the conviction to try and win the ball back and get a shot off outside the box. I thought Lindstrom yesterday, although he didn't win man of the match, I thought he really set the tone for Everton yesterday in his work rate, his ability to just get that ball and cross it in. I thought some of his crosses yesterday were absolutely fantastic, and he caused problems on that right hand side. And as soon as he come off, the one thing I'll say about and the biggest credit I can actually give Lindstrom is when Lindstrom come off the pitch, Spence had acres on that left-hand side. He could run up and down it, caused us all sorts of problems, and that was because Lindstrom had kept him quiet all game. I was really, really impressed with him. I think it's very fair to shout him out, but it was just the tone was set early on.
Going back to what you said about the atmosphere, just to chip over what you've just said there, again, we've criticised the atmosphere at Goodison on this channel many, many times, and I said, I know it wasn't under the lights yesterday, but it's a fallacy because it's flat and it's like a morgue. And that bit of interplay that Lindstrom done yesterday on the right-hand side early on in the game, it sort of got the crowd up for it. The crowd seemed to be up for it more yesterday as well. I don't know whether it was because it was a 2 o'clock kickoff. But again, credit where credit's due. I thought the atmosphere yesterday was one of the best I've heard for quite a while as well. It just seemed a million times better yesterday from the fans, from the players, from the manager, the performance, the result, and it's nice to do a debrief being positive, because this channel lately, and make no bones about it, it's been a very negative channel. Probably like most of the other YouTube channels, it's been very negative. It's been very downbeat. We've criticised 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players. We've criticised the manager. We've criticised the atmosphere. And to do this debrief on the back of a 3-2 win, scoring 3 goals at home, it could have been 5, possibly 6 goals. And the manner of it and the confidence that, you could see that players were playing with, it just makes you feel a million times better. And it's nice to do a positive debrief.
Yeah, and it's nice to be positive about players that we haven't been positive about. We've got our opinions on Calvert-Lewin, and we've got our opinions on everyone in the team. But when we were 3-0 up yesterday, we didn't even look. There was only one team at that point really that looked like we were going to score. From the starting 11 of both teams, there was only one team that looked like they were going to score, and that was Everton. They had chance after chance. Calvert-Lewin can go one-on-one with the goalkeeper, poor second touch. The ball, when he takes it on the swivel and he gets a shot off and it just goes wide of the post. We hit the post. Mangala hit the post. The keeper for them makes a really good save, just tips it onto the post. There was a header from Tarkowski. I mean, Everton legitimately could have scored 7 or 8 goals yesterday. And to play with that attacking freedom, to see more balls into box, to see more overlaps from our fullbacks. Jake O'Brien at one point was picking up the ball 30 yards from their goal and looking at crossing the ball, was playing 1-2s with Jesper Lindstrom in by their corner flag. Jake O'Brien's 6'6". And he played fantastic. So I think yesterday, and look, I don't like talking about former managers, but yesterday really did epitomise what Sean Dyche got wrong, because those players clearly shown yesterday that with the right tactical setup, the right plan, the right belief, they can go out there and get a result. And whether that's because they want to play for this manager, or whether it's because this manager set them up in a way that they could express themselves, the team were better, full stop.
I think the players are playing with more freedom. Sean Dyche turned around and said he's tried for 2 years to get more out of the team and he couldn't really do it. David Moyes has done it in 8 days. Mm-hmm. He's got more out of this squad of players in 8 days. So there was something that could be changed. There was something that could, fill the players with confidence. There was something that the players could be trained a different way and used tactically differently. And that's all that David Moyes has done. It's practically the same. Well, it is the same squad of players that Sean Dyche had. And as I said to you on the phone today, I think he's been there 8 days now. He's probably done 4 or 5 training sessions. And you can see the difference already. Now, that can only be a positive. it started going a bit belly up for Everton in the last 15, 20 minutes. Don't think the substitutions helped, but I do see why he made the subs because, listen, I think it all boiled down to Everton haven't been used to playing that intensity for a long time under the previous manager. Yesterday, they played with intensity. They chased every second ball. They were trying to win every second ball. Dominic Calvert-Lewin was like a man possessed yesterday. Again, I'll give credit where it's due. And I think there was some tired legs there come the last 15, 20 minutes when Tottenham got into it. You know, you mentioned Lindstrom coming off and Jed Spence had so much space. He got so much space down that side after Lindstrom went off. You know, he was going past Ashley Young like he wasn't there. Special mention for Mykolenko as well. I think he put some good crosses into the box yesterday, which again, he hasn't been able to do under the previous regime. I just think it did go on its head a bit for Everton when the substitutions were made. Whether they were the right subs or the wrong subs, I think it was down to fatigue more than anything because that squad of players, that 11, aren't used to being on the front foot like that. And I think that's what it was.
Deutsch fit. They're Deutsch fit, which is run through walls, constantly running. I mean, it's such a myth. And the substitutions, you're right, John, they did affect the game. The team got more nervy. The Michael Keane sub, I didn't think we needed another defender at that particular moment. Because although we'd made the change, we were still trying to go forward. And that was actually our best way of defending, was actually going forward. And talking about the goals we conceded, look, the first goal is a howler by Pickford. I mean, it is. I don't see the reason to come out to Maddison's feet. If it's a lack of communication between him and I think it was Tarkowski, they need to work on that because it's happened a few times this season. But Maddison could have got that ball and turned, and Pickford would have been in position to save it, and players would have been there to follow up on the runners that were coming into the box. There was no need. And the second goal, I honestly think it's an act like Michael Keane has got a bit of praise on this channel this year, this season, because, he scored a couple of key goals and at times he's looked all right defensively. The goal he conceded then was a joke. I'm sorry, it was an absolute joke. And it'll be the only negative of this video. But for him to look at Richarlison like that, for him then to watch that ball go across the box with there being only one danger man at the back post and him not try and deal with that ball. He stood there like a statue. And for Richarlison to just have to fly in at the bottom corner, I thought, if I'm being honest, I thought it was an absolute disgrace. He'd been on the pitch at that point, 5-10 minutes, and that happens. Awful, awful, awful. And I actually think, without sounding awful, he's already established, David Moyes has already established that Michael Keane is his fourth choice because he brought Jake O'Brien in over him. That means, in my opinion, I think his Everton career, I think that's one of the final nails in the coffin because it was awful. I mean, it was literally the equivalent of taking a step to his right and clearing it, toe-ending it, just getting in front of the ball, and he literally stood there.
What do you think of David Moyes reverting to the 3 from the off? I thought Jake O'Brien slotted in like he's been playing there every week, to be fair. Branthwaite was in the game more yesterday. I thought he looked a bit more confident. I just think it worked well yesterday. You have Mykolenko getting down the wing there. And what do you think of that formation? Do you think he should stick with that?
Yeah, I do. And to be fair, I mean, not blowing smoke up my own arse here, but I called it. I called it in the preview. I said it was the way that we should go because of Spurs' attacking intent. And I think it's the way that we should continue to go. I watched the Brighton Man United game and, well, I watched some of it. Obviously, I watched the highlights. But when you see the damage that players like Matoma and Welbeck can do, you've got to have more men being able to defend that. The positive with Everton yesterday was every time they lost the ball, they went forward quickly. And I mean, Njai's second goal, for example, picks up the ball on the halfway line and just runs, just carries it. And David Moyes alluded to it in his press conference and simply said, I want him to be a ball carrier. I want him to do it more. Sean Dyche had him passing the ball left and right. And me and you sat there going, what's he doing to him? He's restricting him. He doesn't look like he wants to be on the ball at times earlier in this season. And yet he can produce a performance like that where, you know, by all accounts, if it wasn't for the fact that Lewin has been awful and then was brilliant yesterday, he probably gets a man of the match performance. Me and you were having this debate. So for me, the fact that Lindstrom and Ndiaye will both carry the ball. Calvert-Lewin, although he's not as quick as he used to be, he's still not a slouch. We can hit teams on the break, so we can soak up the pressure like we did under Dyche, and we can actually play football out. And we showed we played football yesterday. So for me, this Everton team, the way it's set up is the way to go. He wants reinforcements as well. And this is a question I was going to ask you. Yesterday, you saw the setup. You saw the attackers. You saw the fact that Decore, his distribution's poor. And I probably would have hooked him sooner. Well, yeah. But the front three that played, NGI, Lindstrom, Calvert-Lewin, you saw the performance under Dyche yesterday. You saw that Calvert-Lewin had more chances against Villa as well, and we should have got a draw in that game. If we don't sign a player, is that enough to keep us up?
No. I sound negative now towards Calvert-Lewin. I need to see it more often from Calvert-Lewin. Seeing it yesterday, and as I said to you today on the phone, can we really rely on Calvert-Lewin putting them performances in every week from now till the end of the season? Probably can't. And that's only because of what we've been used to for the last 12, 18 months with him. If he can, then all well and good. Is that 3 enough to keep us up? Possibly if we play like that. But I still do think we need reinforcements because you only need an injury. You know, you only need Calvert-Lewin to go on another run of not scoring in 5, 6, 7, 8 games. So we're going to need an attacking player to come in and get the goals. Right wing, I still think we need a right winger. And I definitely look at bringing someone in to replace Decore because it wouldn't bother me if he never put an Everton shirt on again. I just think he's a poor footballer. He doesn't run properly for me. I just don't see what he does. He can't pass the ball. He doesn't run properly. Doesn't really put a tackle in on the opposition's midfield, which is his job, really. I think we do need more, but you know, if it goes belly up in the transfer window, if we can consistently get a game every week out of them 3 front players like we got yesterday, then it possibly will be enough. You know, you look at Ndiaye, the previous manager said there was no proof that he could play that role. Well, David Moyes has seen it in 7, 8 days, and look what he done yesterday. So there is proof. I thought he was fantastic. Little magician, I call him. It was like we spoke today, didn't we? You know, where did he play? Was he on the wing or was he in the middle? And you alluded to it that he probably had a free role. And if he was given a free role yesterday, you know, the way Ndiaye played yesterday, we've spoke about it on here, he seems to lift other players. And that's possibly why you got a better performance from Jesper Lindstrom. Yeah. It's possibly the reason why you got a better performance from Calvert-Lewin. Because when you've got someone who's carrying the ball like that, it does give you a lift. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin yesterday, you know, he was running the channels, thought his hold-up play was better. He was actually coming to meet the ball yesterday. Instead of just standing there and just jumping on the spot like he has done, he was coming to meet the ball, getting in front of the defender to try and flick it on. And that's because Ndiaye had that free role where if he's flicking it on, he's hoping the little magicians run in behind him. So I just thought yesterday, Ndiaye give everyone a lift. And that's not taking nothing away from Calvert-Lewin. Even if Ndiaye wouldn't have been there yesterday, I still think you would have got a better performance out of Calvert-Lewin because he looked hungry and he looked up for it yesterday. And we haven't seen that enough.
Big question on Lewin there.
Go on.
We've already answered this question, me and you. Do you want him to sign a new deal?
No. The old saying, one swallow doesn't make a summer.
Yeah.
Again, I thought he was fantastic yesterday.
If Lewin could do it like this, regularly until the end of the season, score, I don't know, 7 or 8 goals, something like that, then you'd be fine with him signing a deal. But his average goals that he scored over the last, I don't know, what is it, 8 years is 7 a season or something.
I don't know.
And I think Everton do need to kick on. There's no doubting he was brilliant yesterday. He was. He really was. And I would keep him as an option, if you get what I mean. But when he wants 150 grand a week, I'm not for that. I'm not for that.
150 grand a week for 7 goals a season on average.
Yeah.
I think we can spend that wage a lot better somewhere else.
Yeah. So that was the game. That was the game. It's all very positive. We're all buzzing. We go into a tough game next week against Brighton, a game where, being realistic, it's a tough one for Everton. We know that. We've been to Brighton the last few years and we've got results. So last season was a 1-1 draw. I think they scored in the last minute. I think the season before, if I'm not mistaken, it was the 5-1. Everton going to Brighton, tough game. Doesn't look like we're going to have any new signings at that point unless something happens probably in the next couple of days. Do you think this team can get a result?
Well, we were capable of getting a result last year under Sean Dyche. All right, with 5 minutes to go, we're 1-0 up. So they are capable. Brighton haven't been on a great run. I know they won yesterday. They beat Man U yesterday 3-1, I think it was. But I think that's 2 wins out the last 2. But I think before that, they hadn't won in 9. That might be wrong. But what I'm saying is they are capable of putting poor performances in this season, more than what we've seen in previous seasons. This manager's come in again. We've said it on here. Get the recruitment right. They get their managerial appointments right. This manager was fantastic for them last season. I thought they would have been better than what they have been this season. So we are capable of going there. Right now, if you ask me what I'd take a point right now because we've got Leicester the following week. That's 7 points from Tottenham, Brighton away and Leicester at home. When you consider what we've just gone through with the previous manager, that's a positive for me. And it's a positive that we can stand here. I know it's only been 1 game yesterday. The Villa performance was a bit better. Yesterday was a million times better. So we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. But if we put a performance in like we did yesterday, especially for the first hour against Brighton away from home, don't get me wrong, we will have to be a bit more careful. But when you've got a ball carrier, like David Moyes has said he wants to use and die, that takes a lot of the pressure off you when you've got someone who can carry the ball like that. It takes the pressure off the defence. It takes the pressure off the midfield. Get the ball to him as much as you can. Get it to Lindstrom if he plays, because we've seen what he's capable of. Again, 1 swallow doesn't make a summer with Lindstrom. It doesn't. But I think we've seen yesterday, with a bit more freedom that Lindstrom was allowed and then Dyer was allowed, you're seeing completely 2 different players. We've seen glimpses from Ndiaye this season, don't get me wrong. But I just thought yesterday, the shackles were let off. And if you can go to Brighton and get the ball to him as an outlet, which takes the pressure off the defence, I think we're very capable of getting a point there, minimum.
Yeah, agreed. Just want to correct something you said, because we had a debate on. We were joking earlier, me and John. We were winding each other up, and we always have these little aggressive winds up. And John said to me that he knows about footy, so I just want to make sure that I clarify a point that he's just made. The Brighton manager only joined this season, John. Last season it was De Zerbi, so just want to correct you there for being.
Well, regardless of who it was, Brighton have always had a boss manager, haven't they? The way they can run.
You don't know anything, do you? I'll forgive you. It's all right. Don't worry. We'll forgive you. Everyone will forgive you. It's fine. Where's he gone now? He's crying. His tears are currently draining out of his face. His ugly face.
She was crying. I don't know what happened.
So one last thing I want to mention then. And I think it's only right that we end on this particular point, is our lost forward, I'm going to call him, Richarlison. He comes to Goodison Park. There's pictures of him before the game walking up to the Gladys Street, which was empty. after the game, he does essentially a lap of honour. He scores and doesn't celebrate, and I'll even go as far as saying pretends to be injured to waste a little bit of time. How great is he, man? I just love him.
Yeah, he loves Everton. I think I think it's pretty plain and obvious to see that Everton is the closest team to his heart. Don't get me wrong, if you're a Tottenham fan or if you're Postecoglou, then you're fucking fuming, aren't you? If that was one of our players, we'd be fuming. You've just been beat 3-2. The manager's under pressure, and he's walking around. He's given his Tottenham shirt, I think, to an Everton fan, and he's walked the whole perimeter of the pitch to clap Everton fans. And I just think, yeah, he's one of a kind, isn't he? He gets Everton like Duncan bought into Everton, and the likes of Tim Cahill and players like that, Tim Howard. You've got to put him in that environment, haven't you, where Everton just sucks you in and you can't let go of them. And Richarlison's one of them. I think Everton will always be his first team, and a special mention to him because they're very few and far between players like that. Now, you don't really get that in football anymore. And I just think for him to show us gratitude like that when the team who's paying his wages, have just been beaten as well, and they're under pressure, and where they are in the league, I think it's the lowest they've been in the league in 22 years or something like that. I think it speaks volumes of the man, of how much he loves our football club. He probably loves it just the same as we all do. I think he's just a fantastic, fantastic fella.
So in the summer, because it doesn't happen in January, so anyone going, Richarlison come back to Everton in January, scrap that. Dom Solanke's injured, Timo Werner's injured. They're not going to get rid of Richarlison without a striker, at least one, if not two. So it ain't going to happen. But the summer, could you see Everton making a move for Richarlison to replace Calvert-Lewin, for example?
Yeah, I could. Whether he comes back, I don't know. I think there's only one team that he would join in the Premier League after Tottenham if the opportunity was there, and I think it would be Everton. Would I have him back? Yeah. Listen, he was fantastic for us the season he left. He kept us up practically on his own. But his performances, he'd run through a brick wall for you. He lifts everybody else. He's well liked in the dressing room. The Everton fans love him. I just think it's another option, isn't it? And I just think players like that, he's not that old, Richarlison. If you can get the best out of Richarlison coming back to Everton, playing for this football club again in a brand new stadium, Richarlison's probably just meeting his prime now. He should be in his prime now. And what better place to do it, and what better fans to do it in front of if the opportunity was there than the fans who adore him. And likewise, he adores this fan base.
And he's got a manager who is a similar story. Not everyone adores David Moyes, fair enough. But David Moyes has come back to Everton in difficult circumstances, and touch wood, he's steering the ship away from danger and taking us forward to safety. Wouldn't it be fitting that the striker that replaces the current striker, who maybe at times hasn't quite pulled his weight, although, again, credit, he did yesterday, wouldn't it be fitting that a striker that maybe once or twice got us out of trouble, a striker that would bleed blue, takes us into Bramley-Moore? I just think the storyline would be tremendous. He come out on Instagram and said about the 83 times, I think it was, that he played at Goodison, and how much he feels fulfilled by that experience. How incredible would it be if he stepped out at Bramley-Moore as our number 9? He's a player that's more than capable of playing number 9. He plays number 9 for Brazil. I mean, I ain't being funny. He will score goals. He went through spells last season. He scored 2 against us last season. He scored 6 in 5 games at times last season for Spurs. He's easily got 10 to 15 goals in him in the Premier League, in my opinion. You give him plenty of service. He's got legs that can run. He's quick. He's got a bit of skill. He's got power. He can head a ball. For me, Richarlison is the answer. And I'm not even just saying that as in the form of affectionate, I love the guy. I don't think Spurs fans like him. I think he's probably available in the summer. I think we've probably got enough money to go and buy him in the summer. To me, it actually makes sense. He knows the Premier League. For me, I think Spurs probably take less money than what they paid for him. I just think it's a no-brainer.
What do you think Spurs would take for him?
40 mil, 45 mil.
Yeah.
Depends on. Do you think that's a bit high or a bit low?
I'd say probably 35 to 40, I'd say.
Yeah. Because they paid
30 and 40. I know it's 10 million difference, but anything between 30 and 40, it hasn't worked for them. Let's be honest about it. It hasn't really worked out for them at Tottenham. And I did get told a story the other day, but I don't think I can, about Richarlison. The person who told me, I'm not sure whether they'd be happy if I said it on here. All I will say is when he left Everton, he cried. He went to sign for Tottenham. This is part of the story. I won't say it all. He signed for Tottenham, held the shirt up, done the press, went back to Finch Farm, and he was 21 years of age when he joined Everton. So the kitchen staff, the women who work in the canteen and stuff, sort of took him under his wing because he was on his own. He was 21 years of age. And couldn't speak English. And the ladies in the canteen and him hugged and hugged and hugged, and they were in tears. There was floods of tears from them all. And I think it just shows how much this football club means to him and what he meant to everyone around Finch Farm at Goodison and this fan base. So you're quite right with what you say. It could be written in the stars for David Moyes and Richarlison to take us into Bramley-Moore. Whether it is, let's wait and see. But I'd have no problem with him coming back.
Yeah, fair enough. And Richie, if you do watch this, which I suspect you won't, but if you do, just come home. Come home. We love you. And, sometimes you don't appreciate what you've got until it's gone. And at times, I remember criticising Richarlison for various different things, as you criticise any player. But he was always the one that I always thought, no matter what, he would come off that pitch, even sulking, moaning, he'd always give you everything. So, yeah, for me, Richarlison.
I think that's the difference when you look at Richie from Everton and you look at the Richie at Tottenham. He can pull the Tottenham shirt on, and when he's on the pitch and you watch him, I get the feeling he's not giving his all. Let's just say that. I think every time he put the Everton shirt on, you could actually count on him to give 110% week in, week out. You knew what it meant to him. Personally, I don't think he ever wanted to go to Tottenham. I think that was taken out of his hands. If rumours are to be believed, I think he was a saleable asset, and Everton sort of had to get rid of him. I don't think it was his first choice. I don't think he wanted to go. Probably a bit like the Rooney move years ago, and the Duncan Ferguson move where he had to go to Newcastle, was sold while he was playing for us against Newcastle. So I think sometimes, because of the financial situation Everton have been in, it's taken out of players' hands, and it just so happens it was Richarlison who was sold when he didn't really want to go. I think that's why he doesn't really get what it's like to play for Tottenham. But this blue shirt, every time he puts it on or did put it on, he'd give you blood, sweat and tears. He'd give you 110%, and he'd run through a brick wall for this football club.
Yeah, I completely agree. Right, we'll leave it there. We haven't really spoken about some of the other players. I'm thinking,
I can't. Sorry for interrupting. I was going to say that before. I can't really stand here and go, anyone had a bad game. We've slagged Mykolenko off the last couple of weeks. I thought he was better. Some of the crosses he put in, I thought Branthwaite looked a bit more back to himself. I thought O'Brien fitted back in. We've mentioned Lindstrom. We've mentioned Calvert-Lewin, and we've mentioned Ndiaye. Decore for me was probably the poorest player yesterday. Thought Mangala had another good game. Idrissa Gana Guy, again, was running from the first whistle till the last whistle, put himself about, covered every blade of grass. Gana Guy yesterday. I just thought yesterday was a top team performance. And wouldn't even give it an individual man of the match. I'd give the team the men of the match because that's how much better we were.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And onwards and upwards, onwards to Brighton. If there's any news this week, guys, obviously me and John will be there. We will do a video and we'll start talking about it. We've got a few plans in the pipeline as well, so we're going to do a bit more thinking about certain bits, and then we'll give you some news on that. And then you've got your match preview for Brighton, match reaction, debrief, and then next week it is deadline day, isn't it? So it's a big week next week. But I think
I'd do a bit of a live on deadlines there if we can fit it in.
Yeah, we'll do a bit of a live if we can, and so make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Make sure you got the notifications on so you can see that. And look, we'll leave it there. Thank you for your support as always. You have been phenomenal. Frankie stepped in and did the match reaction for me on Sunday. He did a great job, bless him. So good job by the little one. And see you soon. John, do you want to do the outro?
Yeah, as Michael's just said, don't forget, hit the like, subscribe button. Any breaking news, transfer rumours that are going around, we will be on before the match preview for Brighton. I'll say Ipswich then. For Brighton, I'm not expecting any transfer movement this week. I think it's all going to be next week. So we're going to be two very busy men come next week. Don't forget, hit like, subscribe, share it on your socials, tell your family and friends that this is the best YouTube channel out there, and tell them to follow us and watch us. Cheers for watching, folks. We will see you soon.